Here's what I love about you becoming one of our eQuo advisors. You were involved with us early. You were very supportive. And that's great, because that's very selfish on my part. So thank you. But what I admire is you're a group of young entrepreneurs working your asses off, building a company that, to me, exactly exemplifies why we need to build eQuo. Because you're in a manufacturing space, you're doing filtration systems, you have innovated them as a group of young engineers to the point that you truly have something incredible at a time during a pandemic when every hospital, every single school, all of these government facilities all need them, let alone all the private. You landed a $10 million contract, government contract, and the banks wouldn't touch you.
No, not at all. And it's kind of funny. So thinking back to when we first got in contact about this entire initiative and where we recorded some of those first videos, I'm sure you'll notice the background behind me looks a little different from that. So it wasn't that long ago. It was, I'm trying to think what month it was in.
You had longer hair.
I had, yeah, a lot has changed. But what's interesting is that we were in our first location there. And like I said, not long ago, and I'm sure when we started speaking, I was telling you, we just moved into a location. We literally moved in January 2021 to this new spot. 2,500 square feet. And now, a year later, and we've been here for a couple months already, we have 30,000 square feet now where we're at. And it was a challenge, and I can't even describe it. Like, a lot of growth and a lot of fun times. And the couple months have been like crazy, but not easy. And to that point of, we had multi-million-dollar contracts from the government, and getting the funding, no, banks, they entertained conversations because they know, these guys are going to be good. But for now, we have a contract that directly funded. All the details are set into it. We have everything basically aligned. But you know what? You guys haven't been around for too long. You guys are young, and you guys haven't done a contract like this before, which I understand, but it's just no faith. And they say, you know what? Next time around, come to us and we'll consider it. And I mean, like, we're still having conversations with the banks now, and it's still, I'm kind of getting that feeling where it's like, oh, well, I mean, you guys have only been around for a couple of years still. And it's like, well, like, look at what we just did. You know what I mean?
We went from 5-figure income to 6-figure income to 7-figure income to 8-figure income in a 2-year period. If this were the United States, you would be knocking people away from your door.
Yeah.
And here we can't even get you properly funded. It's astounding.
And I'm honestly, like, the people that we ended up going with, it was through a connection, and they've been phenomenal with us, really understanding of it. But we're super thankful and super lucky that we connected with these people. And obviously, it's not going to be the cheapest rate, given we can't go to the bank right now. But you know what? When I tell you it was down to the wire, it was down to the wire where we just had to kind of like brush people off and say like, oh, like, like we're just wrapping up the final details 6 weeks straight because we're still trying to solidify the terms and all that stuff. And like there was a point where we thought this was going to fall through midway through. But thankfully everything ended up going well. So, and it's people like that, and it's kind of always been our strategy where we like to give back to the people that helped us in the beginning. So definitely next time around when we need some more funding for different projects or just working capital, like I would definitely entertain these people as well, even though they may be more expensive. Like it's that's kind of the relationships that we like to build.
Yeah. Well, and one of the reasons why I'm really excited, because you're joining us as an advisor.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things when I first asked via LinkedIn, we really were focused on Gen Z and millennials.
Mm-hmm.
And we were because part of, when you take a look at a lot of businesses right now, a lot of startup businesses, when you talk about ageism, it tends to be the lack of involving Gen X and boomers.
Yeah.
The team that we started to build eQuo with is quite diverse. I mean, we're representing the intersectionality of multiple communities, but it's been Gen X and boomers, and we're aware of that. And when you factor the reality that most of the people who I think are going to benefit and really grow our ecosystem, especially when you get outside of Western nations, are going to be Gen Z and millennials.
Yeah.
So being able to have you come on board is incredible. But what I find crazy is, in spite of the fact that you can demonstrate all the success, that people normally are willing to fund young, innovative, hungry entrepreneurs, you still ran into this. How much of this is because, even though you are innovative in how you've created all of this, you're not seen as being tech?
Yeah, it definitely is, and we fall into that weird category, right? And it is super tough for us. And to that point, we were actually trying to just bring in a tech aspect of this to just help us and to change people's mind frame and their mindset. And like the thing is, like, yeah, we're in the air quality industry, which because of COVID, like everybody is viewing air quality differently now. And hopefully that kind of helps and bring a different realization and understanding to what we're doing. And seeing what the long-term impact it is and just kind of realizing how much we took air quality for granted.
Yeah.
Right. So, we still, even though because of that, we still are kind of viewed as different, and it does make it a little bit more difficult, because manufacturing companies, you got to be able to perform. And with the supply chain, it makes it incredibly difficult. And we're facing that issue every day, but we're coming up with different solutions to supplement and to perform, right? But yeah, it is a little tough without that tech so on aspect, even though we have the only patents in the world for what we're doing, because we do have international patents and we're the only ones that can do it in a massive market where these things are needed and wanted and demanded. But we still get a little bit tossed to the side.
You know what? I'm looking forward to what we're going to be able to accomplish with your help to change that in the ecosystem. And yeah, I don't know. I know Chris Carter has brought you guys up. I've brought you up. So many people have, as the epitome of what is wrong right now in this ecosystem.
Thank you. Yeah.
Welcome aboard to eQuo. We're excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm super excited about this. And honestly, we're just here because we want to help people who are in our position, and be able to kind of direct them and lead them into the right mind frame and not get discouraged. Because honestly, going through kind of what we went through a couple months ago, it can be so discouraging where you have an 8-figure contract in front of you and the performance is right there, but to get someone to fund that, it's one of those things where it's like, where do you begin? You want to see another 8-figure contract that we've completed, but so does everybody else. And like, when do we have the opportunity to make our first mover go?
No, absolutely. And it's similar. You know, one of the things that's important to us is helping from an underestimated and inclusionary standpoint of bringing in founders. And, you know, it's always that circle where if you want to just hire who has the experience, it's always going to be white men.
Yeah.
And so if you want to make a change to that, you've got to start to shift the fundamental infrastructure in the ecosystem from the bottom up.
Yeah.
And otherwise, we're going to keep getting more of the same, more of the same, more of the same. Sorry, this is my daughter calling.
Yeah, no worries. I'm so excited to be a part of this, and I want to do as much with this as I can, because just having it firsthand here, like, and just seeing the team that you guys have, like, that's also why I'm super excited to jump on this, and why, like, I know this can definitely make an impact, not just because of the team, but just because of seeing the vision and understanding it, and just, like I said, firsthand, and like, just helping those people that I know right now that are in it, that need it. Like, that's one thing that I'm also trying to do more of. I'm trying to do more speaking engagements. I want to do, like, TEDx talks, all that kind of stuff, and just talk about that journey. And, like, eQuo is, I think, going to help me with that platform as well, to share that. And like that's what I'm trying to do. So that's why I'm super excited about this, because I think this will be a key element to that. So yeah.
And you know what? You're being smart. It's, you know, when I look back, and you get a lot of Gen X, you get boomers and then Gen X. So I was on the transition of no internet, no digital, no nothing to that. But I was pioneering it too, because at the beginning, like, I was involved in the .com days. But what it meant was your version of networking and your comfort level, where our generation would be comfortable in a boardroom, but not necessarily in front of a camera. You get Gen Z and millennials.
Mm-hmm.
And their comfort level on a camera, it's been there since birth.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've been realizing is, you know, the ability to actually get out, stay out, network. It's gotten a lot more convoluted, especially cross-generationally. I was talking to Sumner, and one of the problems is you have boomers, Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z all working together, but they don't know how to work together. They don't know how to talk to one another. Yeah. And I'm seeing all of these businesses where the founders are largely under 35. And I'm looking going, oh, fuck, they're just making mistakes because they don't have anybody seasoned. But then on the flip side, and why I want to make sure that we've got the advisors, when you get too many people that are just Gen X and boomers, they don't have a clue of the modern world. And so it's how do you get, so what I'm hoping, not just with you, but I really want to build up that you guys become our link, not just to that group, the impetus towards getting that Think Small out there, but also starting to make the connections to fill this out. Because the other aspect is, those are the generations that truly believe in impact investment.
Yeah.
So all of this stuff, like, I think what's going to make this different, if you look at every social platform, it's been created by a generation, generally speaking, where this is going to be the first one that's actually been co-developed and launched cross-generational.
Yeah.
Which, that part is huge. But we've got a gap right now. We don't have enough young people actively working with us and guiding.
Tons here if you need some. I know Aiden, like, just even if you want to just, like, Blade in general, like,
you know, when I was talking with Rachel, there's this really interesting dynamic right now where you've got, you know, you have these skills and these experiences that if you could put the full team together, and this is where I think eQuo is also going to demonstrate something very unique, because even though we'll be talking about, you know, underestimating, making sure that we're empowering certain groups, which we should be, I think there's going to be a lot of discussion of this reverse mentoring and workforce planning. Yeah. Because the workforce planning component is not just about remote and distributed jobs. The workforce planning is, how do you actually take experienced people who are lacking certain skills with highly skilled people who lack experience, coming from very cross-generational, very, very different places. And how can you get them to collaborate and work together in a way that's going to empower everybody, so that everybody's walking away going, wow, I've learned a lot from these people.
Yeah.
both sides, and so that's one of the many areas that gets me excited.
Yeah, and you know what I think it is? Honestly, I think it's just with how quickly technology just has been like changing, like at such a rapid pace. That's why it's not you need young or you need an older person. It's you need both because
You
it's
need
moving
both.
so fast that the younger guys are more into it and more understanding of the different things going on. But someone who's older has that experience in a different aspect of knowing how certain things work as well. Maybe not necessarily the tech side, but or kind of how the market's working. But they have different like I said, it's all part of that mastermind, and it's all complementary skills.
Well, totally, and that's where you get. I remember talking with Chris Carter,
Yeah,
and when the pandemic kind of had first started, and I remember him telling me how he gathered everybody together because he lived through 9/11. He lived through the 2008-2009 market crash. He lived through those areas that at the time we thought, wow, this is incredible. And he learned. So as soon as the pandemic, he sat down, pulled everybody together and said, all right, we have 8 weeks where everybody's in disarray. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what we need to do. And he was able to rally, gather a plan together, because when everybody else was panicking because they'd never been through this, he realized, look, not only are we going to get through this could be an opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's, that's where I think that you get that strong strength. But then the flip side, like I'm really aware.
Yeah.
Honestly, man, Instagram and TikTok, I don't have a fucking clue what to do with those. But I know this. They're incredible channels.
Yeah.
And so I need somebody to sit down and guide me through how do you use that. But it's more than that too. It's you've got these young generations who they've got an ability, and I'm going to give another clear example involving eQuo. When I was talking to Gen X and Boomers about eQuo, they were like, "This is really big. This is very complicated. You're trying to do too much.
Too much, no."
and then I started talking with millennials and Gen X, and they're like, "This is really simple. I totally see how this works." And you know what I realized? Gen X and Boomers have to evaluate something new based on what existed. Gen Z and millennials have the ability to look at it on its own and evaluate it on its own. And so what was happening was, as I was relaying how so many Gen X and Boomers were saying, you got to do one thing, you got to layer all this, I literally had a millennial interrupt me and say, but you are doing one thing. You're connecting people together. It is one thing. And I was like, exactly. So it's fascinating.
Yeah.
How when so kind of throwing it all together, you put all these generations together and you have that conversation.
Yeah.
Everybody's now going to reevaluate, because the advantage of Gen X and Boomers is, you're right, we need to execute the plan.
Yeah.
And that's going to come through experience and not taking on too much.
Exactly.
But they lose sight of what the fundamental idea is, but they understand the executional strategy. Gen Z and millennials get the idea inherently, and they may underestimate the execution. You throw them all together, you got everything covered.
Exactly, and you're exactly right on that. And I'm kind of thinking back. So one of the first ventures that I really kind of had started was a social enterprise. This was when I was in grade 12, and it was connecting. It was connecting actually youth, but it was connecting them through means of like arts and sports, because we found those areas where didn't really have much judgment. If you loved art, you love art, and you'll tell whoever did it that you love it, right? Sports, you'll play with anybody. You're playing the game. You forget everything, and kind of to your point too, like how networking and speaking has changed and evolved over the years. We were taking that different approach because youth at the time were everybody's on social media and stuff, and we wanted to bring them to that older aspect of everybody kind of like like let's find ways of getting together and communicating, right? So now,
Yeah.
kind of, it's interesting on this side too. And like one thing that I like we talk about all the time is like we all have the same technology in front of us, but it's really a matter of kind of how you use it and what you're using it for, right? So what's kind of funny, and I find one of my specialties and one of my strengths is literally getting in touch with whoever I need and finding a way to do that. But
Yeah.
it's funny. It's almost like a puzzle. Like I'll talk to Chris, or I'll talk to like even Aiden here, and I'll be like, I want to get in touch with this person in this company. It's like some massive organization with a little random person there, and they'll be like, yeah, okay, sure, no problem. And I'll spend days just figuring it all out, like pointing, okay, this person knows this person who knows that guy who knows this person who actually worked at this company with the person in the past. So like, and I just figure that all out online, and like I'm kind of using that tool to like what my generation is accustomed to is using technology, but eventually I'll get to the point where I need to get in touch with that person. So I'll go call someone that I know or call someone in the organization and just try to get in touch with them right away. So it's kind of interesting on combining everything.
Well, and it's that entrepreneurial persistence of, you're not going to, you just don't give up. I mean, and this is where I also think too that, Gen Z and millennials have far stronger entrepreneurial drive.
Yeah.
And for a bunch of reasons. I mean, that notion of a job for lifetime died decades ago, quite frankly.
Yeah.
It's the myth has persisted. And so you've got a group that for a whole host of reasons are saying, no, fractional work's taken off. You've got remote opportunities now, distributed workforce, work-life balance focus. That previously was well, that's retirement, and people are saying, why do I got to wait to retire to enjoy my life? I mean, it makes a lot of sense, and which again is why I think that reverse mentoring isn't just going to be from a professional standpoint. I think it's also the ability to have people of different generations become friends, and on a personal, be able to provide guidance. Exactly. How to not just understand their family potentially, but allowing Gen X to kind of lighten up and enjoy life a little bit more, but also working with younger generations for career guidance or life guidance, or you just broke up, don't worry, you're going to be fine. All of these things become positive factors.
Exactly. And you know what? I'm just super excited about eQuo and like everything that we're doing here. And can't wait to just be an advocate for this, because that's what my generation and other generations also need. Like you have a Gen Z, obviously hearing it from someone that's older shows them the experience. This is what you need to do. But having it firsthand from someone who's within a couple of years of their age as well, saying it and advocating it and showing them the benefits from it kind of takes that different mentality, and you almost have that fear of missing out if you almost don't join it, because people your age are doing it, and that's what people love to see too. Just having all aspects.
Well, and one of the things that I'm really aware too is it's creating bridges. Mm-hmm. And like two real examples. I'm an older white guy, and when I was reaching out to the Black community and the Indigenous community, I wasn't getting a response. Yeah. And the reason I wasn't getting a response was what I represent. Yeah. And how I learned more about how they're feeling, and they're feeling about me, and they're feeling about a situation that is wrapped up historically and through colonialism and through, all of these systematic things that have really just taken and taken and taken. So when you see an older white guy saying, hey, I want to talk with you, the reaction is, what are you going to take from me? Yeah. And so starting to create those bridges, to start to find who are advocates, but also who is willing to listen and understand. It goes a long way. And the same thing is, there were a few influencers, younger influencers that were under 30, didn't even respond to me in any way, shape, or form when I did some outreach. And it also, too, like, quite frankly, has, I think, a lot to do, that Me Too movement. And here you got an older white guy reaching out to some younger women, and there's some suspicions.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. So the more that we can diversify our group, the more people are going to feel like it's a safe environment, and it's a mutual environment to be able to grow, right?
Exactly. I agree 100% with that.